Hello everyone, 皆さんこんにちは、大志です。Welcome to my YouTube video series, Let's Read News in Japanese. So let's get started with the news for today, September 6th, Sunday. Okay, so here's the Nikkei Shimbun page one, and as always, I'm going to read each article on this page, and then I'm going to give you a quick Japanese lesson using one of the sentences in this on this page. Okay, so let's get started. Today's top news is here, 菅氏デジタル庁検討へ。So Mr. Suga, the current chief cabinet secretary, is a candidate for the party leader, for his party leader, or virtually the next prime minister. And he's the most viable candidate so far, most likely candidate so far. And that Mr. Suga is going to consider making a new department, new ministry, Ministry of Digital, Ministry of Digitization, something like that. In Japanese, it says デジタル庁, so digital ministry, digital department, I think. Um, so what he wants to do with that department or ministry is he wants to just I listed here, so a big one, a few of those. He wants to one thing he wants to make the law for online diagnosis permanent. So currently, there usually online doctors in Japan are not allowed to provide diagnosis online. Usually, but because of the pandemic, the government made a temporary emergency law that allows doctors to do that. And so temporary, the law for online diagnosis is temporary, but Suga wants to make it permanent because it's more efficient and yeah, it will cost money a lot. So and another thing is he wants to um, digitize state administration. Um, you know, now you go to some city hall or like any administration office, public administration office. There's the paperwork everywhere. Basically, everything is still paperwork almost in Japan. So Suga wants to change that because obviously it's inefficient. Yeah, basically, so it's like it's still before the leadership election and prime minister election. So he wants to kind of before that starts, he wants to kind of appeal. He wants to make people let people know what he wants to do. So I mentioned there might be a snap election coming up after the prime minister election. So I think that rumor is kind of getting more and more likely. I think it's almost certain that they're going to do a snap election after the prime minister election. So Suga this move, I think Suga is preparing for that because like this is a kind of policy agenda that people will definitely agree to. Right? This sounds very good to people. It's easy to understand. Like people, no, basically, if he can actually do that, no one would disagree on that. No, general public would not disagree on that, right? So that's kind of populism agenda by Suga, I think. But actually, if he can do that, is another problem, another matter. I don't think I really suspect he cannot. He will struggle a lot because especially online diagnosis, this involves medical organizations, medical groups. You know, that have kind of vested interests. Those organization groups have vested interests, and they have strong lobbying power against the government. And online diagnosis obviously affect doctors badly. Affect most doctors badly because if people can see doctors online, they will definitely choose those very famous, popular doctors instead of going to the local doctor, right? So basically, there'll be a very small share of winners and a large share of losers. So it will definitely affect badly affect most doctors. So those medical organization groups, they will definitely try to lobby against that law. So yeah, he's gonna struggle with that, I think. And so good luck. And so basically, yeah, it doesn't really matter whether he can actually do that. That what actually matters in uh, especially before the election is what he says he's going to do. Right? So he also knows it's difficult, but just to buy votes, I think. So moving on. 特別警報の可能性、台風10号、鹿児島、今日にも。So typhoon number 10, a very huge, large typhoon is coming up, approaching Japan, and it's expected to land Japan, Kagoshima Prefecture today. So it says this scale is like once in decades level. So it's going to be, it's going to cause a lot of disaster. It's going to be catastrophic, possibly. So we need to be really careful about it. I'm not sure if it comes to Tokyo, but anyway, we need to be careful about that. Yeah, now this year, especially this year, this kind of huge typhoons, tornadoes, cyclones are hitting many places in the world, right? So I think, yeah, climate change, these disasters will only keep increasing in the future. So what I'm wondering is like where is the safest place? Where is the safest place to live in Japan? You know, like if these disasters keep happening on an almost constant basis, where you're living, it will be a huge problem. It will literally decide your life quality of life. So yeah, I don't know where is the safest. Maybe Hokkaido. I don't like cold places. So and we can nowadays many people are working from home anyway, and me too. So we can choose wherever we want to live anyway. So anyways, we have to be very careful about the typhoon. So yeah, next one, 5G. So I'm pronouncing it Japanese way. 5G、過疎地で共同整備。携帯3社コストを抑え、通信網。So it is saying Japan's three major mobile phone companies are going to make 5G facilities in rural, remote areas together. They're going to collaborate on that because making such infrastructure in rural areas will be very costly. It'll be very expensive because they have to build it from scratch, pretty much. So to save costs, they're going to do it together, and they kind of prioritize making a network rather than making kind of monopolizing that network. So they're doing it together. Yeah, it makes sense. I think not much to say about it. Okay, so moving on. This kind of column, commentary, chart は語る、charts, talk, charts, speak. Okay. 女性雇用、コロナの逆風。職種転換へ支援急務。So this is talking about employment for women. The employment for women is affected way more by the coronavirus pandemic than that for men. Yeah, that is, I think there are a lot of data that suggests this in many places in the world, pretty much all over the world. Like, yeah, so in Japan, it's like this is employment rate. Employment rate change from the last December is women employment overall is decreasing, dropping a lot more than men's employment. So it's looking at the world, it's kind of same trend can be seen. It's Australia, and gray one is for men, and red one is for women. You see, so women employment rate is dropping way more than that for men. Yeah, that's another thing is it's a very new discussion. I think this kind of discussions are everywhere pretty much so, and because of that, we really need to kind of support women's of course men's also they're returning to workplaces. And I'm curious what things I'm curious about are what are these exceptions, you know. So looking at these sectors, these are wholesale, retail, manufacturing, amusement, hotels, restaurants. So these places, for these sectors, the same trend can be seen, but for these sectors, things are different, right? So this is 医療福祉 medical, medicine, welfare services, and 金融保険 finance, insurance. These are kind of women's employment is rising, whereas men's is dropping. I think this for medical medicine welfare, I think it makes sense because of the pandemic, these organizations require a lot of temporary staff who can deal with those in rapidly increasing number of patients, right? So and those temporary workers tend to be women. So this trying to make sense. So about finance and insurance, this is a little bit not intuitive, but probably because many companies are struggling and kind of many struggling under the pandemic, and I think they are contacting those insurance finance companies a lot. So maybe call operations staff had to be increased, and the women and many women were hired for that maybe. So this is information communication. So yeah, it makes sense. People working online now, and communications, IT things, you know, grew a lot. So makes sense. So how about real estate? Real estate and products lease. Yeah, for this, men and women, like you know, the rates are increasing at the almost same level. So I'm not so sure about this. I think for real estate, I think many companies are kind of filing bankruptcy, and they have to sell off their property. So um, they are kind of selling transactions are increasing a lot, so they have to deal with it. Hmm. But I'm not so sure about difference in men and women. So yeah, it's hard to see, but hmm. It's not like it's not like temporary stuff, operational stuff. So I think so that make that makes it like uh that makes men and women more equal compared to other sectors maybe. So anyway, this is it for today's news. Moving on to a Japanese lesson quickly. I'm going to pick a sentence from here today. Okay, I'm drawing a line here. Oh, how do I draw a line? Sorry. 女性の雇用 Okay, so oh no. So this time 女性の雇用に新型コロナウイルスの重荷がのしかかる。女性の雇用に、新型コロナウイルスの重荷がのしかかる。So I messed up intonation first. So let's break it down. I think I need to zoom it a little bit. Sorry, the line is kind of messed up. I don't care anymore. So 女性、women、女性 women. 女性のwomen's雇用 employment. So I want to zoom a little bit more. 雇用 employment に、so this is kind of particle to or maybe in at something like that. 新型コロナウイルス new coronavirus の、new coronavirus or something of the new coronavirus. So 主に means it means heavy load, heavy something like it's hard to say. So 主に means burden, a burden, and ga. So this means this is a subject. 主に is subject. So この新型コロナウイルスの主に means the burden of the new coronavirus. Okay. So がのしかかる。のしかかる is it's hard to translate. But it literal meaning is like when someone kind of leans over someone or something. Or kind of just kind of weighing their basically it's like someone completely covering, almost covering others like this. So this kind of leaning on someone and like with a lot of weight, something like that. So I will translate it like weigh in. So okay, weigh in. I think that makes sense. So let's put them together. So the burdens of the new coronavirus pandemic. Sorry, the burdens of the new coronavirus are weighing in on the women's employment. So it's how it is. So again, the burdens of the new coronavirus are weighing in on. So ni corresponds with the on the women's employment. Okay, so this is it for today's Japanese lesson. I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again soon.